Well, Kelly, good morning to you. I am very pleased to introduce my friend Kelly Bouma. She's a director, producer, and actor for dance, theater, and film. After earning her MFA in acting in 2015 from our dear U of M, Kelly is here in Missoula. She was an adjunct at UM School of Theater and Dance for lots of years, and she directs and performs with Bear Bait Dance and the Montana Rep. She has film credits, which include Foghorn Trilogy, which she co-directed, wrote, and produced. Her partner is Mike Steinberg, who owns the Roxy. They work together. So without further ado, since I just lost my introductory, Kelly, take it away.
Well, hello, everybody. So I just want to make sure, I see James, you're not James Wiley, but I see a James Wiley, Wolf, Lynn, Maritza.
Yep.
Okay, hi, Leah, and Sandy, and then a Jack's iPad and the owner. It's just such a small group. It'd be nice to know everybody's name. If Lynn, I don't know if I know you, though you look very familiar. Is everybody in Missoula?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So Sandy, I forget, how much time do I have, and just to get a sense of rambling?
Well, with our small group, if we're all cohesive, you can take as much as you want, because we've shot 20 minutes. So you've got all the time you need, Kelly. We'll stay.
Okay. Well, I don't have a ton of, I mean, I could talk about dance, film, and theater for forever. But I do have a 5-year-old who's on a couch, so we'll see how long she lasts. Being very patient with her toast and jam. So thanks for the introduction, Sandy. Yeah. Oh, I thought this was a pantomime lesson. You guys didn't want a pantomime lesson? I was prepared. I'm probably yelling too, but that's okay. Okay, so Sandy and I talked about this, me coming on to speak probably 2 years ago now, because what the end of that bio said was, for my day job, I work at the Missoula Senior Center. And that's how I know a lot of seniors in the community. And I've worked with a lot of seniors in the community through there and Missoula Aging Services. At the Senior Center, I used my skills as a people person and a patient person to serve as coordinator there. So I was in charge of all the building rentals, our lunch program, activities, so yoga and Tai Chi that came. And I was really the point person for anyone teaching or coming in to do a workshop. We did an educational series when I was there, which was really wonderful, that we tried to not take the format of Molly. It was more of like a one-off. If someone was interested in CBD oil and how it could help their pain, we would have someone come in or elder law came in and did a discussion about trusts, or, whatever anyone had an interest in. I love the Senior Center very much. I'm very sad to see it closed, and I don't know, I do not work in a formal capacity there anymore. All I do now is the newsletter, because they've been closed. And so I don't have any update. If you guys have any questions about the Senior Center, interest in their future with COVID, all I can say is we are still mandated by the state to be closed. And it is a huge financial burden, because we are a nonprofit organization, and the state is not, other than getting the PPP, what was that called? Is it called the PPP loan? Anyone want to chime in? What other small businesses have gotten? They did get some version of that, a very small amount, but they did get that. So I am working on the newsletter until I hear otherwise, but with the new improvements, you'll see the paint on the outside, exterior paint, and then on the inside, they've painted all of the interior walls. They got new carpeting. They've made vast improvements to their food service in terms of cleanliness and safety. And so I do hope that they can open in the future because, as some of you or all of you may know, I do think there is a place for the senior center, especially right there on the hip strip where it's been since I think 1972 or 75. It has a lot of issues, but I know it's home for a lot of people who otherwise don't have any social connection, really. Before I launch forward into something else, does anybody have any questions about the senior center or my role there?
I do. Is there any option for the seniors to go virtual for you, or is that a technological issue or lack of access issue?
Good question, Wolf. It is really unfortunate to report that we do not collect email addresses, which has been something that when Mike Sweet, who many of you may know Michael Sweet, because he's very involved in the community, when he took over as president, volunteer president of the board, he said, okay, next time we get memberships, when we renew, we need to capture people's email addresses. So the answer is no, only one, because of the lack of information we have. I think that I do know that there's a community, a percentage of that group of people who could probably participate virtually, but I do know that we my guess would be maybe 60% would not.
Okay.
And I make that assumption because of just what I know of the clientele. I know most of the members by name just because of I would be the face of people coming through for lunch. And I love talking to people, and I kind of know where they're coming from. And not that I'm like, oh, do you have an email address? But I do know that they're there to have that face-to-face social interaction. And so we didn't have any virtual programming before. And so it would be probably very problematic and challenging to institute that now. However, we do partner with Missoula Aging Services, and they're already just, I don't know if anyone's familiar with what Alicia Crandall, the education coordinator there, and others are doing, but they're doing a lot of virtual experiences. They're launching their support groups online. And so they're kind of taking that baton for us, and we're supporting that by spreading that information.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that about 60% wouldn't chime in. You know, it's probably very similar with the senior forum because we have roughly almost 60 members. And on a good week, we get maybe 18 to 20 to come online, even though everybody has an email and everybody gets the invitation. It's an odd phenomenon that people they disappear, it seems like.
Yeah, and maybe that'll change even in 3 months, 6 months, when we all get really need those services online.
Yeah.
I do believe that Missoula Aging Services, if they haven't already, will be offering some sort of, digital 101 class to like help people get on email and Zoom. So we'll see. But I do know I've had a couple of instructors reach out. Lynn Roberts, who many of you may know, she teaches our Tai Chi classes, and she has videos on YouTube. And I do share those links in the newsletter in the case that people are connected and are inclined to go on YouTube to stay connected with their instructors. So there's definitely more opportunities for that, I think. So we'll see how it goes in the future. Personally, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, you can't distribute your newsletter via email, so you just post it on the site there?
Yeah, so that's another good question. I think we can. I don't know. I do think it is possible to have that as an option. So that was something we were looking forward to in the future. And actually, while we're on the subject, I did pull it up because this newsletter, and what I love about this newsletter is that it does go to people's mailboxes. I personally love getting it in hand. And I still am an avid reader of The Sun magazine. And it is one of my favorite days of the month when I get a magazine in hand to read. It's a literary magazine, which you guys all probably know. So I think it's a gift that this is still available. It's a tangible document that they can pick up at the center. It's really practical. It has our menu in it when we're open and have an actual menu. It has our activity calendar, so people can put that up on their, on their good old fridge. But you can access it online if you're aware of it. And I wonder, so on Zoom, everybody, 1 second. I can do a screen share, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me get the newsletter up and then I'll show you. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so who is serving as James Wiley? I'm forgetting your name, sorry. Who's my master here? Hi, Jim. Yeah, because it's disabled right now from your end. So if you find a way to enable me to, there you go. Oh, that's now you're sharing your screen. That's lovely. That's lovely. Is that your garden? Did that work? So, right. Well, here's what I'll do. If anyone's inclined, what I'll do is I'll just share the link with you so you can see it on your screen.
Sure.
Okay. Now, when I everyone. Okay, so in the chat, this is a link to the digital file of the Blazing Trails. And you should, once you get to that link, you should see it's a little blue, it says view full screen. It's above the newsletter, so you can read it in full screen. So Jim, you can actually, is everybody okay doing it individually, or Jim can share it? Share his screen. So this is not the most beautiful thing. This is not, that's my dog, most well-designed thing. I inherited this newsletter and the format. I've made some small changes along the way. But as many might know, I don't make a lot of changes because people get very grumpy. So I try to be very sneaky when I make changes, and I make changes slowly, and not big changes, but even design. If I change the way I phrase something, like instead of recipe of the day, if I change it to chef's corner, people would complain. So anyway, and I want to try to, I'm this is the audience I'm catering to, and I'm proud to do that. And so I do the best I can to maintain what they're comfortable with. So I say that because you're not going to see this, this crazy cutting edge document on senior related news. However, I try to find a balance of kind of, you'll see like a general nutrition article that I either get from Missoula Aging Services or from our online platform through the publisher. And then I mix it in with community events. So if you're looking at, I think I shared the July edition because August is a lot of budgets and stuff that we had to include for the senior center membership. So it's a little bit of a boring, it doesn't really apply. It's not usual. So go to July 2020 and you'll see, Missoula events, virtual Missoula, giving you some options, recipe, puzzles. Oh my gosh, I took out the puzzles once to fit in what I thought was like a really important, fun story. Woo, did I get some feedback? So I keep those puzzles in, and I also enjoy doing puzzles, so I don't mind. I try to spotlight a community partner, someone who's either advertising with us or I feel like it's fair to pick out a nonprofit that we've worked with or that have been supported by. Volunteer spotlight, we're run pretty much by volunteers. So the board of directors runs the senior center. And I was, to give you a reference, so I'm no longer there as a full-time coordinator, but I was one of the only paid positions, and there's a part-time bookkeeper. And then we pay 2 kitchen staff. So in terms of office, the machine is run by the board of directors, and to the detriment of the organization. And I just got my certificate in nonprofit administration. So now I have a little bit more awareness of the functionality or dysfunctionality of nonprofits. Our terms are so short with the board members, and you have to be a member, which means, and to run for president or vice president, you have to have been a member for at least a year. So it's a very small pool of people who one can or want to do that, and then also have the energy to do so. Right now, the president is basically working a full-time job there, all volunteer. So we like to spotlight our volunteers as much as possible. And in this one, this amazing woman, Loretta, who's been working in the kitchen for ages. So anyway, that is that. And I won't dwell on that too much, but I do mention it. It might compete a little bit with Montana. Is it called Montana 55, Montanan 55, or the Lee Enterprises version, which they've had to make some changes. And I think that the publication has suffered a bit with the changes they've made. It used to be glossy and really nice, and I think it was quarterly, if I'm not mistaken, and had some really valuable local connections and articles. And the way I've seen it, I know they're just making changes based off of what they have to do, but I hope that this publication can serve the local community. Also, which you guys are more than well aware of, is Senior News. Oh my gosh, I'm sure. And I love that publication, that newspaper. Sandy?
I kind of lost you when I went to the scene.
You sound like we lost you to Mars.
You're in there twice, Sandy.
Oh.
I know. I'm confused.
Okay.
I'm back.
She's back.
Sandy, so did you get a chance to see it, or did it all just go?
Yeah, I saw it all and I couldn't come back.
Oh, okay.
That was my problem.
Okay, well, we're back now. Actually, 2 of you are back, I think. So you've joined, your twin has joined, you're double. Looking over you. So anyway, any other questions about the senior center newsletter. I think what's fun about the newsletter to me is, so I went to Syracuse University in, let's see, 2001. I was a freshman during 9/11, so I will always remember what year I started college. And I studied journalism. So again, I never really touched it after. Journalism really fell to pieces after I graduated. But I love that I get to work on a physical newsletter right now. That's really, I really love doing it, and I'll continue to do it because it doesn't take me that long, and I like to be involved in the community. So whatever happens to my role at the senior center in the long term, I feel really lucky to be connected, and I can still reach out to some of the members and say, hey, do you have a short story or a poem that you want to contribute? And that's one of my favorite parts. And I think I could do more. I think I could do more outreach and interviews and actually dig in a bit more, especially now with people being at home. I could make some more phone calls and capture more stories. And that's a goal of mine. As summer kind of, everyone checks out a little bit during the summer, but that's a goal of mine for the fall, especially if the senior center continues in some capacity, to really bring in more stories.